If you look at the history of the US stock market over the last 90 years, you will find a statistic that is absolutely terrifying. Professor Hendrik Bessembinder from Arizona State University conducted a study on 26,000 stocks listed between 1926 and 2016. His conclusion shocked the financial world. He found that the entire net wealth created by the stock market over nearly a century came from just 4% of listed companies. Think about that for a second. That means 96% of stocks were statistically irrelevant. They either went bankrupt, merged, or performed no better than a safe government bond. Only 4%, companies like Apple, Amazon, Exxon, and Monster Beverage, accounted for all the massive gains we associate with investing. This data leads to a brutal realization. Finding a winning stock is rare. It's like finding a diamond in a mountain of coal. So when you finally find one of these 4%ers, the single biggest mistake you can make is losing it. Yet that is exactly what most traders do. They buy the next Amazon, but they sell it 3 weeks later because of a minor correction. They get shaken out. Today, we are going to use math and historical data to prove why your stop losses are too tight and how widening them, even if it means buying fewer shares, is the only way to capture generational wealth. Why do we get shaken out so easily? Because we fundamentally misunderstand the nature of price movement. We crave stability in a market designed for chaos. Let's look at the data from J.P. Morgan's Guide to the Markets. Over the last 40 years, the S&P 500 has experienced an average intra-year drop of 14%. This means that at some point during the average year, the market falls by double digits. However, in 30 of those 40 years, the market finished the year positive. This is the Volatility Paradox. To get the positive return at the end of the year, you had to pay the entrance fee of a 14% drawdown during the year. If you are a trader who sets a rigid stop loss at 5% or 7% because you want to play it safe, you are statistically guaranteeing failure. You are trying to ride a roller coaster with a seatbelt that is too tight. The moment the ride starts moving, the seatbelt snaps and you are thrown off. The market is not trying to hurt you. It is simply breathing, and its average breath is deeper than your stop loss allows. Now, we must address the most common objection to the breathing room strategy. This is the logic trap that keeps most traders poor. I know exactly what you're thinking. But narrator, if I widen my stop loss from 5% to 10%, I have to cut my position size in half to keep my dollar risk the same. If I buy half the shares, I only make half the profit. I want to maximize my gains, not reduce them. This sounds logical on the surface. Why would anyone voluntarily choose to make less money? But this view suffers from a fatal flaw. It assumes that probability does not exist. It assumes you will definitely stay in the trade. Let's run the math. This is the difference between theoretical wealth and actual wealth. Scenario A, the aggressive trader. You buy 1,000 shares with a tight 5% stop loss. If the stock rallies, you make a fortune. But because your stop is inside the market noise, that average 14% volatility we talked about, the probability of you being stopped out by a random shakeout is extremely high. Let's conservatively say 90%. So your expected value is high potential profit multiplied by a 10% chance of success. The result is near zero. You're right about the direction, but you make no money. Scenario B, the strategic trader. You widen your stop to 15%. To manage risk, you only buy 330 shares. Yes, your position is smaller. Yes, your potential profit is smaller. But because your stop is now outside the noise, the probability of you holding through the correction rises to 90%. Your expected value is moderate profit multiplied by a 90% chance of success. In finance, you are not paid for your potential. You are paid for your survival. Buying fewer shares is not a penalty. It is an insurance premium. You are paying a cost in the form of smaller size to purchase the right to stay on the ship. Would you rather own 1,000 shares of a stock you were forced to sell yesterday, or 300 shares of a stock you still own today as it hits an all-time high? Let's move from theory to reality. Let's look at the best performing stock of the century, Monster Beverage. If you bought Monster in 2004 and held it for 10 years, you would have made life-changing money. But look at the chart in 2004 and 2005. Before the massive rally, the stock had multiple corrections. Here is a drop of 18%. Here is another drop of 22% and another one of 15%. If you were the aggressive trader with a standard 8% stop loss, the market would have kicked you out of this trade 3 separate times. You would have likely given up, thinking the stock was broken. You would have watched from the sidelines as it rallied 50,000%. The only traders who captured the 4% anomaly were the ones who gave the stock room to breathe. They likely used a stop loss based on the 50-day moving average or a wide percentage stop, and they accepted a smaller position size to do so. They understood that volatility is the price of admission for high returns. So, how do you implement this? You stop guessing and you start measuring. First, stop setting stop losses based on your feelings or a random number like -5%. The market does not care about your wallet. Instead, ask the market, how much do you normally move? We use an indicator called ATR, Average True Range. It measures the average volatility of the stock. If a stock has an ATR of $2, it means a $2 move up or down is just noise. It is meaningless. A robust rule is to place your stop loss at 2 times the ATR. This places your safety net outside the noise zone. Second, calculate your size. This is the sleep well at night formula. Take your total risk amount, say $100, divide it by the distance to your stop loss. The result is the number of shares you buy. If the stop needs to be wide, the math automatically tells you to buy less. If the stop can be tight, the math tells you to buy more. You are indifferent to the distance. You are only focused on the structure. To conclude, investing is a counterintuitive game. Our human instinct is to tighten control when we are afraid. But in the market, tightening control usually leads to losing the asset. Remember the 4% rule. Finding the winner is hard enough. Don't let a standard market hiccup steal it from you. Accept the volatility. Widen your stops. Reduce your size if you have to. Because in the end, it doesn't matter how many shares you bought. It only matters how many shares you held. This is the Wise Clay Bull. Thank you for listening.